Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to The Fallen Will Rise, a custom Dungeons & Dragons 5e campaign. In this video, you will meet each party member separately, and also find out the story so far. We hope you'll enjoy going on this journey with us, and wish them luck. They're gonna need it.
The daughter of a human thief and an elven schemer, Katia was born with deception and trickery in her blood, if not her heart. Under her parents' watchful gaze, she learned to lie and to steal, and spent much of her youth as a pawn in her parents' games. It was her first job away from them that made her finally think to question the family business. It was supposed to be simple. All she had to do was get close enough to a noble family to borrow one of their more valuable possessions, but it turned out to be a disaster. Katia was lucky to get away intact, but it was at the expense of a failed contract and the death of the family's young daughter. Katia began to quietly seek a way out from under her parents' control, out of the Thieves' Guild, out of this world that she no longer wanted to be a part of. Her chance to escape came in the middle of a job in Darkhold, when a priest of Lathander decided to heal her instead of killing her. He offered her a chance to escape, the opportunity at a new life of her own making, and out of both desperation and hope, she accepted. He taught her the ways of the temple, sheltered her from the more aggressive attempts to find her, and answered her endless questions about the gods and their place in the world. Eventually, Katia found herself believing in a deity, or the chance for a new life, or the kindness of strangers. She was never really sure, but the more she believed, the more she was able to do. Her newfound abilities as a cleric are strange and foreign, but as long as they last, Katia is determined to finally do something good.
Hello, I'm Crag, the half-orc barbarian of the party. I was born and raised in the Sunset Mountains by a tribe of orcs. Those days in the tribe were the happiest days of my life. I was free, I had friends, and I had a loving family. But one day, everything changed. After the events of what happened, I could no longer stay at the tribe, and the tribe was no more. So I decided to travel, although I didn't have much choice. In my travels, I met some friends, a man from the tribe of the Elk who helped me understand the rest of the world, a lover who helped me suppress my past, and a sorcerer who wants to help me somehow break away from my past. The past that I speak of is the visions that haunt me. Every night, I am haunted by visions of my tribe, the ones who I used to love, sometimes the ones that I used to hate. Some nights I can almost sleep well, Some nights it is almost pleasant, reliving of memories, but most nights it is horrible images and I almost can't sleep. The sorcerer, Alina, was her name. She attempted to help me, but couldn't tell anything about it. She couldn't see a relation between my images and my past. And so, she went away, but she said if anything ever happened that was related to such visions, she would contact me. And she did.
Abandoned as a child, Clairvine spent most of her life alone. She lived her childhood and teen years in a small cottage on the outskirts of the Neverwinter Wood with an old half-elven woman by the name of Marjorie. Marjorie had found Clairvine when she was a baby soon after being abandoned and raised her like her own. As she grew, Clairvine discovered that she had arcane abilities, and despite her efforts, she couldn't hide them away when her emotions got the better of her. Although it didn't happen often, it was enough for her to separate herself from the world, and when she was older, she left her home and set out deeper into the forest to live a life of solitude. Soon after, she started having terrible visions of her birth parents, fighting in a battle. In her visions, she always sees her parents battling a tall human man, a long scar across his left eye. A shadow engulfs them, and in a flash, there's nothing but a white-haired tiefling baby left alone. After having these visions, Clairvine left her seclusion to search for what happened to her parents, and find a meaning behind these visions.
Bok grew up in a little village in the Sunset Mountains. Everything was lovely. Birds, bees, and a idyllic little village. And then the big white dragon came and burned the idyllic little village down. Being the lone survivor, Bok set out for revenge and started to slightly obsess about dragons. He found a teacher named Fetch Timbers who taught him the arcane arts, but ended up throwing him out when he sought forbidden knowledge. At this point, Bok took on a journey to expand his own knowledge. On his way down from the Sunset Mountains, he came across a half-orc named Crag. They journeyed together down to the Waterdeep Temple where they parted ways. After some brawling at a local inn, studying at a library, and a minor quest to retrieve some important books, Bok had made acquaintances of the odd companions he tends to travel with nowadays. Most of the time he can be found with his nose deep in a book as he's trying to learn more about the world. Wait a moment, did I say the world? I meant more about dragons. They tend to be his main concern. And when he's not doing that, he can often be found making wise decisions in the pursuit of knowledge and wisdom. Decisions that might on rare occasion get him into a little bit of trouble, but which is all for the greater good.
Kicked out onto the streets when I was just a young girl, I've always been one that never stayed out of trouble. I met a human girl my age, and we became best friends. We were literally partners in crime. Only thing is, years later, we got caught. She was left to fester and rot in prison, while I got away. But I wasn't a fugitive on the run. The person we targeted was another tiefling called Morthos, a trader. He travelled everywhere. He saw potential in me. I don't know if he felt sorry for me, if he took pity on me, but he employed me as his bodyguard. Over the next 10 years or so, he became the father figure that I never had, the father figure that I always wanted. But 10 years later, somewhere around that time, he was murdered by the Five Knives, assassins of all people. I need to find out who killed him. I'm going to find this person and show them just how much pain they've given me. All that was left on Morthos' body was a playing card with a joker and a lipstick kiss on it. I will never let anyone stand in my way. Nobody will ever harm those I love again. So, now you've met our group of crazy mismatched adventurers, it's now time to tell you the story so far. On the outskirts of the city of Darkhold lies a tower, owned by the illustrious High Elf Alina Silverwisp. The party is summoned to her tower after some alarming news reaches her from within the city. The Council of Darkhold have been alerted to their leader, Lord Ivan, falling gravely ill. There could be many consequences if he cannot recover. The party gather together with Alina to discuss the details of their first venture. Needless to say, they were very eager to get going and may have forgotten to ask a few of the more detailed questions. They have to recover the artifact of Darkhold, gifted to the city many, many years ago, and is kept within a vault underneath the city. The artifact serves the purpose of aiding security and safety within the walls, to keep Drow from entering the city. But supposedly, this powerful artifact has been stolen by Drow, the very people it was meant to keep out. How and why was it stolen? The artifact is the very reason that Lord Ivan is almost at death's door. This artifact not only keeps the residents safe, but also has a personal connection to Lord Ivan. It's been rumoured that the artefact has been taken to the Darkhold catacombs, which is where the party heads, albeit a little too hastily. Fast forward to within the catacombs, the party slowly and unprofessionally made their way deeper and deeper. Being new to such things and not used to working as a team, the gnome wizard, Bork, wanders off, finding himself trapped in a hole while the others are engaged in combat. Being a gnome, obviously of short stature, he struggles to get out, but manages to reunite with the party moments after combat is over. Heading further into the catacombs, the party come across a statue, one who informs them of an intruder in the room just beyond, a drow who is desecrating the site. After gaining the partial trust of this strange statue, the party go to investigate this intrusion. Upon entering, they see a large altar in the middle of the room, covered in blood, with a book sitting on top of it. This is the artifact they are looking for. And just as described, a drow figure standing by with a summoning circle surrounding him. In the corner of the room is a young girl, no older than maybe 10 years old. She's cradling what looks to be her mother, who seems to have had her throat slit and her blood used for whatever ritual or sacrifice this may be. As the drow is confronted, he decides to take his leave and escape, leaving the party to face a skeleton minotaur before trying to reclaim the artifact. It's a tough battle, but the party prevails. They grab the artifact, also known as the Tome of the Ancients, and begin to make their way back to Elena's tower with the little girl in tow, whose name turns out to be Elise. Upon closer inspection of this artifact, Elena discovers that it's been damaged. Not a good sign if Lord Ivan is to recover from what ails him. She explains of an old friend who lives not too far from the tower who may be able to fix it. It's no small feat to recover this artifact to its full state. Out of nowhere, an elderly skittish gnome enters the picture. His name is Fudge Timbers. He gives off the idea that he's already acquainted with not only Elena, but also our gnome wizard, Bork. Fudge Timbers begins to speak of a prophecy, one that could decimate the whole region with no soul spared. We've come to know this prophecy as the Three Sisters prophecy, but much more information needs to be unearthed before the party can fully understand the scale of what this strange elderly gentleman is talking about. After a long rest, the party venture out to find Solaris, the person who may be the only chance to save the city of Darkhold. As we all know, things are never as simple as they seem. Solaris tries using her powerful magic to restore the artifact, yet it seemingly just drained her of her energy. She speaks of a scroll holding even more powerful magic that could give the best chance of success. The scroll is located in the ruins of the Temple of the White Sister, one of the three sisters the prophecy refers to. Within the ruins, an almost deadly round of combat ensues, leaving the party very much injured, hurt, and wondering how they're going to move forward with a concrete plan that will actually work. Spending the night within the ruins was the only option they had to recover from the painful encounter. As the sun rises, the party awake to find an extra figure underneath the sheets of a bed on the other side of the room. Pulling the sheets back, you'd think it were just a trick of the eye. The party find nothing. Eager to continue their quest, the party gather up their belongings to head further into the ruins. Only for Claravine, the tiefling sorcerer, to be stopped in her tracks by an unfamiliar voice entering her head. The voice belongs to a female spirit entity who goes by the name of Abby. She explains she has been trapped within the ruins for the past 700 years, previously serving the White Sister and her collective when she was part of the mortal realm. Abby is thought to be an important figure at this moment in time, so the party allow her to come along during the remainder of their time within the ruins. Trying to move as quickly as possible, the party come across a large room filled with water. Ever the unintentional troublemaker, Bork tries to look further into the water, only to fall in and is attacked by water elementals that have gone undetected. After being rescued by Crag, the half-orc barbarian, the party continue to rack their brains to get through this room. After failing several attempts to get the sequence of levers in the correct position, Claravine's wolf steps up, flicks one of the levers, and helps create the path to move forward and collect the key parts to progress. You know it's awkward when a wolf is smarter than your party members. Eventually coming to the vault where the scroll is said to be, Claravine recites the entrance ritual so as to pass through safely and obtain the item they're going through so much danger to collect. Another voice enters Claravine's head, only this time it's not Abby, but the White Sister herself. Claravine now has a gigantic responsibility placed upon her. She is now the champion of the White Sister. To serve her, to follow her teachings, and to be the positive influence on the world that the White Sister once was. After obtaining the scroll, the party leave the ruins and decide to camp for the night under the stars, before making their way back to Solaris, albeit very unsure if this scroll is the answer to fixing the artifact. During the night, our cleric, Katia, glances off into the distance and perceives what seems to be the form of a dragon flying away from where they're resting. Is someone spying on the party in their current quest? Not knowing for certain, the morning after, they head back to the home of Solaris. Thankfully, the scroll they obtained, from what they can tell, has restored the artifact to its former glory. Lord Ivan's life should no longer be under threat. But what is the cause of all this? How will the party move forward and figure out this mystery? Solaris decides to accompany the party back to Alina's tower, along with her partner Cien and their infant child. Making the most of their downtime, Crag and Genevieve decide to stay in the tower and get some rest while the other members head off into the city. The party have been made aware previously of an assassin's guild called the Five Knives. They place a bounty on the head of a certain tiefling, but having two tiefling within the party, no one knows which of them is in the most danger. Genevieve awakes from her nap to discover a playing card placed atop her belongings. A playing card which is the signature call of someone within the Five Knives. The playing card has a joker with a lipstick kiss. Meanwhile, in town, Bork has made a new friend in the form of a dragonborn, who very quickly has Bork engrossed in arcane experiments of sorts. Katia and Claravine are in the city to run some errands, only for things to take a very dire turn. Claravine is gravely wounded and poisoned by an assassin that has been following them. The only words uttered from this figure? The Reaper sends his regards. They hastily retreat back to the tower to seek assistance. Claravine is patched up, and generally seems okay despite the circumstances. But where is Bork? He's somehow managed to find his way far from the city, where he comes across an old acquaintance where a deal is made. Possibly a very deadly one. Bork has offered his soul in return for boons to fight a white dragon within the Sunset Mountains. The very same dragon that decimated his village and left him with a burning passion for revenge. This dragon's name is Rylarth. With Bork still missing, the party move on to their next task, to assist the Tribe of the Wild in recovering a totem. But during this quest, the unthinkable happens. Whilst in combat with the Banshee, Katya is killed. Her last breaths taken too soon. The party is shaken and distraught by what has transpired, causing Claravine to call upon the White Sister, begging her to bring Katya back to the mortal realm, that her journey is not yet over. True to form, the White Sister obliges, and life once again fills Katya's lungs. But little do the party know that this act will have serious consequences in the near future. Returning to the city of Darkhold after this successful quest, albeit a rather disturbing one for Katya, there's a festival within the city. So many activities, so many good times. The party are glad to take a break from the craziness they've been put through so far. After the festival, the group are summoned to see the Duchess, a well-renowned lady within the Five Knives Assassins Guild, where Katya is asked to rejoin their ranks. And that is where we are so far. We hope you enjoy this journey with us. It's going to be interesting.